Hotter, weirder, smarter. Hotter, hotter, weirder, smarter, smarter. Hotter, weirder, smarter. Hotter, hotter, weirder, smarter.
What's up, weird hotties? It's me, Dr. Ruby Patterson. Welcome back to Hotter, Weirder, Smarter. Our guest today is Dr. Zoe Pierrat. Welcome to the show, Zoe.
Thank you so much for having me.
How have you been?
You know, in some ways, so many things are going so well for me, and in other ways, it feels like the world is falling apart outside of me. So a mixed bag, for sure.
I feel like that is a really common sentiment these days, given the current political climate, the climate, which we will get to because you are, in fact, a climate scientist.
Yeah.
Do you mind talking to us a little bit about what exactly your specialty is within the sciences and why we should be really invested in what you do?
Yeah, so I am a remote sensing scientist, which means that I take observations about the Earth without touching it or modifying it or doing anything to it. So just using light to learn something about the Earth system.
So specialized cameras?
Yeah.
Okay.
Basically. So cameras are one method of remote sensing, but right now what I'm working on is basically fancy cameras in space that are taking observations of the Earth.
That's amazing. Okay, so these fancy cameras in space. So how do you even get these data from the satellites? Do you have to have a special permit, or do you have to join like a special club?
Yeah, so I do work for NASA. So
Heard of it.
So I'm a postdoctoral program fellow at NASA's Jet Propulsion Lab in Pasadena. And so all of the satellites that I work with are mostly operated by the Jet Propulsion Lab and NASA. And all of the data is actually freely available online. So you can actually just anyone download this and use it for your own purposes if you want.
So what is the name of the satellite that you get most of your data from, or do you use different ones?
Yeah, so I mostly work with two different instruments. So the major one is EcoStress, which is an instrument mounted on the International Space Station. And it's essentially taking the temperature of the Earth. So it measures the surface temperature of the Earth, and then we can use that information to do a whole bunch of different things like wildfire monitoring. We can learn how much water plants are using to understand drought and plant stress. You can use it to look at wildfires and wildfire trajectories. So that's one.
EcoStress.
EcoStress, yeah. It is an abbreviation for something. It's the ecosystem on the International Space Station. I'm gonna biff the acronym.
What if it stood for like every chill orbit is actually stressed? What if that was like you think that it's
oh my god. No, NASA loves an acronym. Loves to make really long, complicated acronyms.
Oh my god, I've heard of NASA acronym programs spelling out things like Picasso.
Yeah.
And what's another one? Like Viper, the rover that ended up getting canned, that was supposed to go to the South Pole of the moon. That was the sickest acronym ever, in my opinion. And that one was Volatiles Investigating Polar Exploration Rover.
Incredible.
Like, oh, dude, who made that up? Like, give them a raise. Like, that was amazing.
Yeah. Incredible.
Wow. What's your favorite NASA acronym?
I really liked JEDI. So the JEDI mission measures biomass. So like the number of trees, like tree canopies, how many trees there are. And the group of people that worked on it called themselves the Jedi Knights. I thought that was incredibly cute. But yeah, so EcoStress is one of the missions, and then the other one is the Orbiting Carbon Observatory. I work on the Orbiting Carbon Observatory 3, which is also on the International Space Station.
Wow. Okay, so a great deal of the work that you do is dependent on the International Space Station.
Yep.
So what is something that you're really, really fucking stoked that you're working on right now?
I'm honestly really excited about kind of the more applied part of my research and kind of the direction I would like to take it. And so, like I said, the EcoStress mission we can use to monitor things like wildfires and drought. And so I'm working on building more partnerships with people in agriculture and policy to kind of use those sorts of data and these really like cutting edge data streams to actually give like more concrete policy recommendations and understand how like irrigation efficiency can improve water resources in California or the potential risk for wildfires to break out.
So are you qualified to be an expert witness if there was some litigation that were to happen as a result of like eco disasters?
I don't know. I honestly don't. I think generally being at JPL and working for the government, most of us, I think, are staying pretty removed from like any kind of law policy type work. Our aim is to just provide the best available science.
Yeah, because you're a bomb scientist. Like, that's the name of the game. You've won several awards for the work that you've done as well, which has got to feel good.
It does feel really good. It feels really good. It feels especially good, too, because I literally never could have even, like, being a scientist and being a scientist at NASA is not something that any point in time I could have ever fathomed for myself. And so it feels like this insane, I like can't even call it a dream come true because it's not even a dream that I knew that I had until it was like happening. And so to have that rewarded and feel successful in it is so unbelievably special.
Something that I do know about the NASA Postdoctoral Program is that not only is it incredibly competitive, you have to have a dialed in, completely buttoned up idea of what your research projects will be for the entire duration of your postdoctoral tenure. So do you mind walking us through what you propose to do and how you're doing it and how it's going?
So my general focus in science in general is to understand how plants are responding to environmental stress and monitoring that from space. So like a heat wave or drought, those are the big ones. Arctic plants that experience super harsh, intense winters, that is another environmental stress because they have to deal with all of that cold and they have adapted unique ways of coping with that. Plants play an insanely massive role in the global carbon cycle. They're like the lungs of the planet. They're taking up carbon out of the atmosphere. They're helping us fight climate change. But one of the biggest uncertainties in what the future of our climate system is going to look like is how resilient are plants on land to these changes to the climate, and will they continue to be this giant sink of carbon for us?
How do you actually go about measuring these things? I know you mentioned you use orbital remote sensing data sets. Do you ever go to Arctic locations? Do you take physical samples? Like, walk us through the A to Z of what it is like to be Dr. Zoe doing this work.
So my main focus is quantifying how much carbon are plants taking up and how much water are they using and releasing to the atmosphere.
Evapotranspiration.
Yes.
Nice.
Exactly.
Cool.
And so these are very physical things that are happening. And so you can measure those at an individual site or by going out into a forest and taking these measurements or installing a tower in the forest and doing that. But you can't do that for the globe, and you can't do that everywhere all the time because it's super labor intensive. And so you have to figure out, okay, how can I measure carbon and water exchange between plants in the atmosphere from the globe? And the only way you can do that is through remote sensing, which is effectively using light to understand these exchanges. And so a lot of my work historically, and what I will be planning on doing moving forward, is developing sensors that you can deploy out into a forest, like a really fancy camera that is doing the same kind of technology that we're launching into space, but at a site level. And so you can draw a direct connection between what the plant is doing, what we can see with these really fancy cameras, and then what that will look like from space.
I have so many questions. Okay, I need to rewind and zoom back in to what you said about we can't really set up a tower in this forest. What is a tower that you're talking about? We are not talking about a princess in a tower.
Yeah, no. So there are like scaffolding towers in the woods.
How tall?
It depends on how tall the forest is.
Okay.
So it's usually like a third above the forest canopy height.
Okay.
Yeah. So like in the rainforest, very tall. In like the Arctic, not so tall because the plants are really short.
They're like little Barbie towers.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, you install these towers and then you can take measurements of concentrations of carbon dioxide and water and the wind speed and direction with this instrument called a sonic anemometer, and it reaches off the side of the tower and it looks like a big claw. And using that and a whole bunch of math, you can get a measurement of how much carbon and water is going into or out of the forest over this footprint around a tower.
Is the reasoning why you would want this tower to be 1/3 of the canopy height above the canopy? Because that's where the most of the evapotranspiration activity is taking place? Like, that's the best place to measure it?
It's because you have to make a bunch of assumptions about how the atmosphere mixes and, like, the air rising from the surface of the ground and wind moving side to side.
Oh, so you need to be at a place where there's available wind, that is the atmosphere, mixing with the off-gassing of the plants?
Yeah.
I know that's like a volcanology term, but I'm a geologist, so that's all I got. That's all I got.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, basically it is like the area where the assumptions that you're making about the turbulent mixing of the air are the most valid.
Have you ever been in a field site situation or a fieldwork situation where you thought a tower was set up properly when in fact something was left off the tower on accident?
Great question. I have run up and down these towers just an absolutely unbelievable number of times. I've also been stung by a wasp on one of them.
Oh.
Yeah, not great. A lot of them are quite safe though. I mean, you go up there with like full climbing harnesses on. I had to do special like climbing training. You get like helmeted. It's a whole thing.
How did it feel for you the first time that you were getting trained to go up and do this boss dog tower climbing, like fieldwork stuff?
I honestly didn't think that I had a fear of heights. And then my future PhD advisor was like, how are you with heights? And I was like, this is going to be fine. I'm so excited. And then immediately when I got up there, I was like, okay, Zoe, you signed on to 5 years of this. You're going to be so brave right now. Like, really had to pep talk myself up into it because it's kind of like a ladder. It's like a scaffolding tower ladder, just like straight up, and you're like climbing a ladder up. You're like well above the canopy.
Where the wind is blowing.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I got caught up there in a snowstorm once. It was wild.
Wait, where were you?
Canada. Yeah, like in the middle of Canada, like right, not close to anything.
Are there even plants out there when there's that much snow?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Like the boreal forest. It's like evergreen needle-leaf pine forest.
Oh, I was picturing like an Arctic tundra in my head. I was like, but why there? Okay,
Yeah.
This makes more sense.
Yeah.
What is like the smallest amount of or environmental stress that you observe, like temperature-wise, that actually causes changes in the way that they capture carbon from our atmosphere?
Yeah. Well, so Arctic boreal systems, one of the biggest things we're seeing is a lengthening of the growing season, which you could think is a good thing for the carbon cycle because if they're growing for longer, they're taking up more carbon. But actually what we're seeing is they start photosynthesis in the spring earlier because it's warmer, but then because there's less snowpack through the winter, there's not as much water to support that growing through the entire growing season. And so then by what would normally be the end of the growing season, there's no more water in the soil for them to use, and they get dried up and kind of crusty, and then it turns into this insane wildfire risk. And that's what we've seen in Canada over the past couple of years.
This forest is incredible, but now I understand that the lack of water from the snowpack is actually a major bottleneck, I guess, to their entire cycle.
And the greenhouse gases that were emitted as a result of the Canadian wildfires, I will probably need to be fact checked on this, but it was like, if you were to rank it among country emissions, like from human activities, it was like the 4th largest country, just because of the volume of material that burnt. This is research out of JPL, and it might not be that exact number, but it is available, so.
That's incredible in the worst way. Like,
Yeah.
That's shocking. I'm shocked to hear that. Oh my God. And so not only are these, beautiful national treasures being destroyed, but also all of the wildlife within them have lost their homes or their lives themselves. Earlier, you said something that really piqued my interest, and it was about how you can use these orbital data sets to study a more global scale of these environmental stressors. But you have also used these towers and field work to study a more localized effects of these environmental stressors. So which one is more impactful? Like, which one do you think actually has more far-reaching impact?
I think you need both. I'm like very strong supporter of both. I think one of my gripes with these big global studies is that it's easy to make these broad sweeping claims about, like, you know, the carbon capacity of plants has gone up by this much in this amount of time. But ecosystems are so ridiculously nuanced. And so making those kinds of big generalizations is important for understanding the trajectory of where we're going. But people and ecosystems are at a super, super local scale. And to develop the science that is needed to support these big global studies, you can only really effectively do that at this very local scale.
Something that I did recently was donate to the Nature Conservancy, and when you do that, yes, I'm a hero.
Yeah.
No, it was like $20, but they gave me the option of donating either to a very local organization. You could donate to like a statewide thing, or you could donate to like another nation around the world. And so because we had just experienced all of the Altadena fires and the Eaton fires and just this horrific fire season here in California this past winter, I chose to donate it to like a more local movement. I mean, you've been in the game now for how long? How long have you been a climate scientist?
I guess it depends how you want to count that.
All your grad school plus after grad school.
A little over a decade.
Oh, yeah, that's a long time.
Yeah.
You know what's what.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I mean clearly, but like that's a cool thing to be able to say. How did that feel for you just now?
Good. Longer than I was expecting. Like old in some ways, but good. It feels good. It makes me feel like I know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, you're Dr. Zoe. Cheers, babe.
Yeah. I need
You need another drink? Because you are someone who is so acutely aware of global scale studies and now local scale studies, if you were given the choice like to donate to the Nature Conservancy or something, which one would you choose?
Oh, local for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like a very strong sense of place to like where I'm living, and Southern California is so special to me, and whatever I can do to like help support the community that's around me feels very meaningful.
So why is SoCal so important to you?
It just feels like home. I mean, I grew up here, and so like I'm fortunate my parents are like 45 minutes away from where I live now. I love the people of Southern California. Like, I know LA has a bit of a reputation for people being like fake or whatever, but I have truly found like the most deeply genuine people in Los Angeles, and I feel like I've been able to build these incredible communities of people who are creative and interesting and intelligent and like excited to tackle the world, and that feels very special to me as well.
How do you go about building communities?
Okay, so in my like professional career, I have always been in very like male dominated spaces. I mean, my undergrad degree was in physics, my PhD is in Atmospheric and Oceanic Sciences. I was one of very few women when I started my PhD program, and so I feel like in those spaces I was like, all right, we're getting the girls together, because like it means so much to be around people that like you can feel like you connect with. And so in my professional career I've always been like, hi, we're gonna be friends now. And then I feel like my biking community kind of took me a while to find. I ended up finding the team after a really, really rough, really dramatic breakup, and was basically like, I gotta find some new friends, like I gotta get out of the house, and it was like one of the first things that I just like stumbled upon effectively. And then immediately I was like, oh, these are my people.
Did you always know that you were into cycling, or you just wanted to try something new?
I did know that I was into cycling. I actually used to bike a lot with my dad, which was very cute, and we biked actually quite a bit like during the pandemic because it's a great like social distanced activity. But kind of right around the time this breakup was happening, he has a very rare form of early onset dementia, and so he's no longer able to bike. He's still kicking it right now and is like so lovely and cute, but yeah, biking is no longer an option for him, and so that was like an additional thing that felt really special about finding this team where like I used to bike with him, and then it was like this healing space that helped me like get over this breakup and then kind of fill the void of not being able to bike with my dad anymore.
It seems like a lot of your life is devoted to being out in nature. You're studying nature, you're finding relaxation and healing in nature. Has it always been like that for you in your life?
For sure. Yeah, for sure. I was always like a child of the woods, just like out.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's a good band name, actually.
Child of the Woods. We starting a band?
I can only play the triangle. What do you play?
I also can only play the triangle.
Damn.
I actually was so terrible at music in middle school that I was relegated to the triangle, and I still managed to fuck that up. Like, it was...
Your timing just isn't good.
Yeah, no, not good. Like, I did percussion because I was like, this will be the easiest thing, and it was not.
Oh, you thought.
Yeah.
Oh. Yeah, no, my timing's not good either.
Yeah. Did you ever try another instrument?
Yeah, I can play hot cross buns on the recorder.
Oh, hell yeah.
Big pimpin', yeah.
Absolutely.
As a kid, my parents gave me a little keyboard, and so I would noodle around with that a lot. And it was one of the types of keyboards where it had all these pre-loaded songs on it, so you could hear it, and then it had a screen where it would show you where the notes appear on the music staff. And so I would just kind of like press a key and then see where it showed up on the music staff, and then I would play the songs, and I would try to learn a few songs that way. And so I learned the beginning of Canon in D, which is
beautiful.
Yeah, but it was just like with one hand. My left hand was just like not doing anything. So it was like the most basic, reading by sight, and I still to this day like could not tell you like what note is what or what they mean. But I also learned Joy to the World. So those are like the only, and then Farajaka.
Oh yeah.
That's the extent of my musical prowess, truly. Like, and then I've also been known to like absolutely tear it up on a bongo drum, like around a fire. But that was like in my past life. When I worked on weed farms in Oregon, we would have like little drum circle moments at night. But maybe that would be a nice podcast episode for another day. Yeah, so actually when I was working on these weed farms, something that we used to do, and tell me, okay, you can debunk or maybe substantiate this claim.
Okay.
Something that we heard about, like through the hippie grapevine, is that if you sing to plants, it will actually kind of make them happier, and they'll be healthier, and they'll give you more of what they do.
Okay, I'm so into that. Like, I will not debunk or provide credit for this. I personally am down for it though. Like, I'm all on board with that. I personally play music for my plants. I want them to be happy. It makes me feel like I'm doing something. I feel like I am a science girly that is dipping a toe into the woo-woo world of I'm going to play music for my plants. And there's actually a phenomenal album that I have on vinyl that is specifically music for plants.
Wait, what kind of... how old is it? And what kind of music is it?
Very old. It's all instrumental. It's called Plantasia. It's I cannot recommend it more highly.
Plantasia?
Yeah.
How do you feel when you hear it?
2 of the songs are like completely unhinged. It's like a symphony for a spider plant, and like yeah, it's beautiful. The UCLA Botanic Garden had an event where they like played the vinyl of it for like the plants in the Botanic Garden, and there were like vegan tacos. It was awesome.
That's kind of cruel to eat a bunch of plant-based food in front of a plant heavy event, don't you think?
I mean, The thing that's nice with plants is that it's like regenerative, you know?
Totally, I'm just being a jerk.
Circle of life.
It's a eat plant world out there.
Exactly.
You know, there's this really badass place near where I live. It's called the Gentle Barn, and do you know what I'm talking about?
I know exactly what you're talking about. I would love to, like, a scritchy a cow.
Come on, like, we'll go. Let's go. They're open to the public every Sunday, but I love the mission of this place because what they do is they save all of these animals that had really, really traumatic, hard lives. They were either saved from slaughterhouses or abusive farms or abusive owners that are like Joe Exotic, but not even like funny or cool or famous. Anyway, so they have these like one-eyed horses and like cows that were literally saved off of the slaughterhouse floor. It's insane, like the backstories of them. But one thing that I love about this place is that they serve food, but they only serve vegan food. Mm-hmm. Which I was like, that is so considerate. Like, why would I eat a burger? Or like, why would I eat a hot dog after I just bonded with these beautiful creatures who had the worst lives? Like,
yeah.
So when you were saying like, oh yeah, we had this like beautiful vegan food at this botanical gardens, I was like, oh wow. Like, they didn't think that one through. No, but yeah, that's fine.
Oh my gosh. God. The Gentle Barn sounds amazing.
Yeah, I actually like we should go.
Yeah, absolutely. Down.
So when you sing to your plants, do you only play Plantasia for them, or do you actually sing and play the triangle for them?
No. The me singing, no one wants to hear me sing. Like, that's Zoe's singing voice is not good. Not good. When I was in like first grade, my music teacher, my mom was like buddies with the parents and was like, she's not so good. And the music teacher was like, any student is good if they can just find do, like do, re, mi, fa, whatever.
Do.
Yeah. And at the end of the year, she did tell my mom that I was still out there looking for do. I was like,
chasing that paper.
Yeah. Wow. Maybe we'll find her one day, but not today.
Oh no. Wow. Well, at least you're smart.
That's the
thing.
That. There's always that. There's always that. I mean.
Yeah, okay, so like just to reiterate, like you grew up in SoCal, you went to college in Colorado, you came back to UCLA for your PhD, and then you got a postdoc at JPL, the Jet Propulsion Laboratory, which is in Pasadena, which is literally right outside of Los Angeles. Where do you see your path going over the next like 10 to 20 years?
I am excited to be like a faculty member at a university. That's kind of top choice. My best skill set, I think, in science is like mentoring people and like mentoring students, and I think that's the thing that I'm really excited about for a faculty position.
What do you think makes you a good mentor?
I think that a lot of scientists don't prioritize writing skills, and I think that I learned a lot from my PhD advisor and my current advisor about like writing and how to write. I think also just kind of relating to people on like a human level helps a lot with like mentoring. And then I'm also just like an open book with my science career and the things that I've been successful doing, and so I feel very like the sayings like a rising tide lifts all ships, and so that's kind of the approach that I've taken.
I'm really excited to see you step into a professor role because I've gone through graduate school and I've become close with professors, but I've never had a friend who is in the same age range as me become a professor. And I feel like I'm getting a real peek behind the curtain at what that process is like, what goes on in the minds of a future professor. Are you ready to tackle this? How are you feeling? Like, what's going on in your mind as you move towards this goal?
I'm the first PhD in my family. It never seemed like a thing that I could do. It felt very like somebody going to the Olympics. It's like, yeah, some people do that, but that's not just like little old me. But it turns out it is. Yeah. So just taking it one step at a time. But yeah, I don't know that I have got a good strategy for like overcoming the imposter syndrome yet. I have, honestly, sometimes the most valuable advice that I've gotten on this is just, like, think about what you would feel like as, like, a mediocre white man in the same position and how you would be feeling. And not to say that mediocre white men are not experiencing imposter syndrome, because I'm sure that they are, but I don't think that it is quite so strong as the imposter syndrome that I'm feeling. Another thing that I do, which is a little bit ridiculous, but I will fully go and read my own CV, because having just like the written down list of things that I've done, I'm like, oh, actually nobody can take any of that away from me. This is tangible evidence that I deserve to be here. And that I do find incredibly helpful.
Yeah, 100%. And I just actually had this thought of how awesome it would be to, if you're feeling sad, just copy paste your CV into ChatGPT and be like, read this to me.
Compliment me.
Gas me the fuck up with my own CV. And like just get high on your own supply.
Yeah.
You need it right now. Or not you specifically, maybe you do, but like that's a really good idea to do.
Yeah, 100%.
Oh, I'm gonna do that.
Yeah,
actually,
I'm gonna do that now too. Let me know how it goes.
Wow. Okay, so last year I went through a dark night of the soul. It was a really, really challenging year, and I was, finishing a manuscript and transitioning between jobs, and I left my marriage, and I like moved around. Like it was just everything happened all at once. It was really, really challenging, and there was one particular week where I was like, "Am I gonna make it through this?" And I was also staying up super late because I was writing all the time, and like that was the only time where I felt like I could really be zoomed in and like dropped into focus. And there was one night where I was really going through it, and I turned to Claude, like Anthropic's ChatGPT, basically.
Yeah.
But Claude is known as like being more conversational. And so I turned to Claude and I literally wrote in it, like, act as if you are my best friend. I'm going through a really hard time right now for all these reasons, and I need you to write me like a pump up like speech.
Yeah.
And then it ended up being amazing, and I felt so good afterward. And I remember thinking like, wow, I really like cracked the code. Like, wow, like who needs a life coach when I have like AI? And then I texted somebody about it the next day, and I was like, new life hack alert, just get like a computer to write a pep talk for you. And they were like, are you okay? Like do you need to like come over? Like just like woman to woman.
And you're like, you know what? No, clearly I'm not. Clearly no.
Oh my god. That was a real like mirror shining back to yourself moment of like, oh yeah, like I'm so not okay right now. But in that moment, it really helped me get through. And so I can totally see how you reading your own CV being like, no, I'm the shit. Like I got this. Or like even having, some text to audio generator read it to you would be like, wow, thank you. Like, yeah, you're right. Thank you for that reminder, computer guy.
I will also say I love having friends. Well, I love having scientist friends, but I also love having friends who are not scientists because, like, I will gas the fuck out of my friends, especially the ones that I have no idea what the fuck they're doing. Like, that is so easy and fun because in my mind, like, my friend that's, like, a professional photographer, I'm like, oh, you're the best goddamn photographer that's ever existed. And, like, that's great. I can just feel like that and know that that's true in my heart. And they do the same thing with me because I'll start talking about remote sensing and they're like, okay.
Yeah, you measure climate change from orbital data from outer space.
Yeah. Yeah.
For the betterment of humanity.
Yeah.
And nature.
Yeah.
That's pretty epic.
Yeah. It's good. It's good. And it's good to have, like, non-science people be like, you're doing cool shit.
What do you think is the absolute coolest thing about what you do?
As of recent, honestly, like, making these maps of just, like, evapotranspiration and, like, how much water are plants chucking into the atmosphere. I made some maps of the Los Angeles like wildfires, and it's like up on one of the NASA websites now, which is also really cool.
Okay, so NASA has fully blasted your work out there.
Yeah.
Like, hey world, check out this really cool work that our girl is doing. How do you make these maps? Do you use GIS?
Yeah, that's like the easiest and the fastest, but most of my analysis I'm doing in like Python.
Oh, have you been coding your whole career?
Yeah. Well, no. I learned like how to code in earnest during, I did like a research experience for undergrads, where I learned IDL, which is like, I don't know, nobody uses IDL anymore except solar physics community.
I think being more proficient at coding would have made my PhD a lot easier and a lot more streamlined, especially when I was doing like these really, really long, arduous, repetitive analyses in Excel. But I was just like, I am so at my brink right now. Like, I'm not about to take on learning this whole new coding language.
Yeah.
So I actually used like ChatGPT to help me write portions of code, and that actually took a lot of the weight off my shoulders. But you did it the old-fashioned way.
Yeah.
Which is pretty impressive.
Thank you. I will say, like, I also use chat now for different coding tasks, but I am a little concerned, like, you can't have it think for you. Like, you have to go in with, like, a plan of, like, what you need from it. Can't trade your brain to chat. You can just make chat work for you, is my recommendation to the people out there who might watch this and use chat for their coding activities.
I've heard similar sentiments shared about writing and using AI for writing, and like you mentioned, you are really good at teaching people how to write, and you are a good writer. I've read some of your publications in prep for this show. Yeah, you're very talented.
Thank you.
Something that I've heard repeatedly, especially now as universities are trying to figure out how do we now work with AI and students who can basically become self-educated using AI, but we don't know if it's completely up to date or how they're actually internalizing the information from this. So I've heard people say, you still need to become proficient at writing, but more so in editing and effectively, changing syntax and moving paragraphs around and understanding the more zoomed out flow of a body of work. What are your thoughts around that?
Yeah, I mean, AI will never be able to come up with like an original thought. It's just taking the like average of previously generated thoughts and ideas. And so like if you're brainstorming something to write about, not great to use chat because you're outsourcing your own creative thinking to something that is not going to come up with an original idea. And so it's a super useful tool. I'm not telling people to not use it. I'm telling people don't have it think for you. I personally don't really use chat to write because I think it does a bad job. But I think a lot of what my job now is like science papers exist because you're creating new knowledge and you're putting new knowledge out into the world, and chat's not going to be able to produce new knowledge. It's going to regurgitate knowledge that exists. But it's great for like finding sources. Like you can say, okay, this is the topic that I'm writing about. Give me a bunch of references that talk about this topic. Phenomenal. It's going to do a great job with that.
Wow, yeah, I've never heard someone put all of these swirly things that I've thought before into such a concise explanation, but I actually really agree with you.
Yeah.
About that. And funny thing you should mention, the idea of like AI writing things. A lot of times you can tell when it's AI written, and I read this article that the use of the word delve went up like 100-fold because it just was continuously like, I don't know who designed this or whatever, but every time I see someone use the word delve, I'm like, oh, you didn't write that, because nobody actually uses that word. It's like this old-fashioned word that all of a sudden came back into prominence when AI started becoming more widely used.
I believe it.
Yeah, nobody says that word, dude. It's like for like great-great-grandparents, and then it came back. It's a rare word.
Like,
but
let's delve into it.
Let's delve. Yeah, right. It doesn't
Ooh,
sit
it
right.
feels bad in my mouth.
Yeah, delve. You would never write that. You don't write. Only AI writes that shit. So that's my red flag.
I'm gonna go back through my writing and it's gonna be like delve all over the place.
No, you're clear. But also, if I'm on LinkedIn a fair amount in my daily life, for better or for worse. But every time I see LinkedIn posts that use the word delve, I'm like, man, like you don't have a single original thought to share about your entire expertise. Maybe that's a hot take that I got.
Yeah,
like
that's a good one.
If you use delve, I'm not going to believe anything you say. It's not you. It's a computer that wrote that. Sorry, bye.
The anti-delve movement.
Yeah.
I've heard this about like M dashes as well, but I use M dashes absolutely all the time.
So, okay, so when people use an M dash, you're like, you didn't write that.
Well, I use M dashes all the time, so I trust it, but I've heard that people have a similar opinion on the M dash as delve. I trust delve less, though.
Right, and now that you know about it and you see it, you're going to be like, oh, I'm onto you.
I'm looking for it.
I'm onto you. Okay, so Zoe.
Yes.
You have had the incredible privilege of being a scientist who is not only gifted and readily active in a laboratory setting. You get to actually go out into nature and study these places that you do your work on. So do you mind telling us a little bit about a specific field site that you think is particularly cool that you've been able to visit?
Yeah, so my favorite field site that I've gone to so far is part of the National Ecological Observation Network, the NEON network, and it is in Delta Junction, Alaska, which is about 2.5 hours outside of Fairbanks. And it's like out in the middle of the forest, and it's all like evergreen and needle leaf trees, which was kind of the basis of my dissertation work.
Evergreen and needle leaf. So this is a boreal forest.
Yeah.
That you visited.
Mm-hmm.
So why did you have to go to this one specifically to do this work? What were you actually looking to do?
So Arctic boreal systems are one of the least well understood ecosystems, and that's why NASA has invested all of this money into further understanding this ecosystem, because it plays a huge role in the carbon cycle, but it's changing really quickly with climate change and super sensitive to those changes. This particular site in Alaska was convenient because, one, it is a boreal forest in the United States, and so just the logistics of bringing like a $50,000 instrument out into the middle of nowhere, useful for that to be in the United States with like customs and logistics wise. It's actually in the back of a sled dog kennels like whole operation.
So clearly you had to go and check on the dogs while you were there.
Yeah, they were so cute.
Did you get a chance to hop on a sled and get driven around by these guys?
Unfortunately not. I actually don't think that the sled dog owner was particularly thrilled that this was going on in his backyard.
Oh, no.
But he was getting money from them to like let this happen, so there was a fair trade that was going on, but he was not particularly stoked to, like, this big burly Alaskan man, not particularly thrilled to have like a car full of nerdy little scientists showing up with their instruments at his door.
So earlier you mentioned a pretty hefty price tag associated with one instrument. $50K. What does $50K mean? Like, why is it so expensive, and what type of instrument are you actually talking about?
The instruments that I have worked with in the past and deploy out into the field are very similar to the ones that we're launching into space. And so they're super, super sensitive to light, and they can measure light at incredibly fine wavelengths. And so a lot of my work was building these instruments and then bringing them out into the field.
What do you call them? Like, what's the name in the biz for this type of instrument?
The one that I was working with, we called photospec, but there's a bunch of different ones. There's not really like a commercially available one. Well, there kind of is. There is. It's called Phlox.
Okay.
But I would say it's not something that people are just going out and buying it.
So this instrument was specifically designed for this research question.
Yes. So when plants do photosynthesis, they actually emit light in red. They emit red light while they're doing photosynthesis. And it's about 1% of the total light that is absorbed by the plant gets re-emitted, but it's in a very specific wavelength region, and you need a very specific instrument to be able to separate out just that red light from all of the other light that you would get in like a camera.
So how big is this instrument, and do you have a lot of them, or is there just one on the tower in the back of the sled dog shack? Like, what's going on with this?
During my PhD, I was running like a small network of 4 of them. There's 2 components. There's the part that goes and sits on top of the tower. It's about the size of a microwave. So it's got this big box, and then it's got this little telescope that like scans out over the forest to look at different parts. Oh. And then there is the part that's like in basically this shed at the base of the tower that keeps it at the same temperature and holds all the like sensitive electronics. And that part is probably the size of like a coffee table standing upright.
Oh. That's really interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, so you traveled all the way, so at this time you were in your PhD, so you lived in Los Angeles. Mm-hmm. So you traveled all the way up the West Coast into Alaska.
Yeah.
Please set the scene for us. What types of preparations did you have to take both in your physical fitness and also mental fitness, meaning like what type of lab instruction preparations had to happen? Did you guys go out and do drills of setting up these instruments in the lawn, like for real?
Yeah.
Because you don't want to have to do that when you're already out there in the forest. Like, how did you prepare to go up there?
Yeah. No. I will say I feel like I was really thrown into the fire.
Okay.
I mean, to be fair, I started my PhD knowing that this was kind of like I was drawn to the idea of doing field work and felt generally equipped from just being like a super outdoorsy person. And so my PhD advisor convinced me to join his group when I was applying and looking at different schools because he was like, I've got this project and maybe you can go to Costa Rica. And I was like, great, sign me up for that. I would love to go to Costa Rica. Yeah. And even though the rest of my work didn't end up being in Costa Rica, I was like, okay, I know that this field component is going to be a large part of it. But then my first kind of field trip was going to Canada, and it was about 2 months after I met my advisor, and it was just the 2 of us. And I was talking to my mom about it beforehand, and she was like, do you know this man? Like, you're going out into the forest with like a man you just met, and it's just the 2 of you, like 5 hours away from anything.
Child of the woods.
Child of the woods, for sure, yes. But I cannot say enough good things about my PhD advisor. He's such a lovely human being. And like he's German, so he's like one of the most like organized logistics people I've ever met. So we were going in with like every single piece of field equipment that we knew we needed to bring. There was like a list, checklist, parts got shipped, like we had it absolutely locked down. Then we like go to the field site. Essentially what these instruments, my portion of field work is going and setting up the instrument, calibrating the instrument, and then going home. So like my field work compared to maybe other people in biology field work is not so much as labor intensive, with the exception of hauling these heavy crates out into the middle of the forest. So kind of labor intensive.
Something that I want to know is, did you have to go to the gym and train to be able to carry these heavy crates out there?
I didn't intentionally do that, but I am a very hyperactive person, and so generally just have been like in shape. Like I go to CrossFit and like all of the cycling and running that I do. I feel like I was very prepared for the physical demand of it going in, which is good.
How did you actually get up to Alaska? Did you guys drive because you had, I know you mentioned you shipped a lot of this stuff, but did you have to drive with these sensitive instruments, or did you fly?
No, we flew. I've only driven actually once with them in the back of a car, but just the risk of like the car getting broken into with that kind of a thing is not super worth it. So yeah, I mean, the whole thing is pretty smooth. Like we just ship everything up there, and then get to fly, and flew into Fairbanks. And a lot of the times that I was going up to Alaska, I was able to build in a little like weekend trip before or after to like go backpacking around. And I mean, Alaska is such a beautiful place, and Denali is very kind of close to the field site, so was able to go backpacking there, which was really incredible.
Did you have to sit next to your advisor on the plane?
No, my PhD advisor did this hilarious thing every single time we traveled together, where he would like just pretend he didn't know me the entire time we were traveling together.
Dude.
Like, would just leave in the airport, or if I saw him at the gate, he'd be like, okay, see you when we're in Alaska, and just like leave without me. Okay. So yeah, but it was kind of nice. I mean, like,
Sorry.
yeah. He's a lovely person.
So you showed up at the airport at the same time, or you were on the same flight, but he just was like, "See you there."
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
Were you? So you weren't sitting next to each other. He purposely bought your ticket in a different row as him.
I don't actually even remember. I think we just got like random tickets.
As far as you know, he
Yeah.
was like, "She's in the
He
back."
I know. Oh my god. I love him dearly, but it was like such a jarring experience the first time we went into the field together, because he was just like, bye.
I feel like so many advisors have little personality quirks that you just have to learn how to manage. And I
Yeah.
always used to say, like, I kind of have to learn how to manage my managers, you know, and how to like work around the things that they become really known for. Like my PhD advisor, I adore him, but he was always someone who would get things in like at the 11th hour, where I was like, am I going to be even eligible for the scholarship that I literally need to like continue going to school? You
Yeah.
know, like things
Yeah.
like that. So was this like travel quirk maybe like the main quirk of your advisor?
My advisor was just like so like German. Like he was just like really giving German all the time.
Yeah. It's
I-
giving German.
It was giving German for sure. Yeah. Yeah, I think that was the funniest thing that he did. But then also, like when he was in the field, I'm a chaotic person, and he also is, I think, in his core. So we were like on the tower one time, frantically like trying to get this instrument set up. And I cannot emphasize how useful like zip ties are to just like hold things in place and like keep everything oriented while we're like hanging over tower trying to install this instrument. And one time I was up there with him, and he's kind of like fumbling around, and then this bag of zip ties he just like fully knocks, and so the whole bag of zip ties like goes tumbling down the tower, like individual zip ties just bing bonging like all the way down. And he just looks at me and he's like, that's certainly not what I intended.
Oh.
Sweet angel.
Sweet angel.
Yeah.
And because you're stewards of nature, you had to go and pick up every single
Yeah,
one of the
absolutely
hundreds
went
of-
and picked up every single one.
So what are you? Oh wait, come here. So what are you wearing when you're doing this field work? Are you dressed in full head to toe snow gear? Is it the winter? Like what time of year did you go?
I've gone up there all kinds of different times of the year. So most of the time it's been the summer, because that's when photosynthesis is happening. And also if you're going up to Alaska and doing field work in the winter is not ideal conditions. But I did have to go up there in Alaska one time, kind of in like super early spring, so there was still snow on the ground. So we did have to all the way cross country ski to the field site. So that was a full snowsuit moment.
You cross country skied into your field site?
Yeah. So the whole reason we went up that early is because the instrument broke. So it has this little like telescoping unit. And some point over the winter, the like stopper on it broke, and so it just like spun these cables up until they snapped. And one of the critical things we were trying to measure was the springtime, so when photosynthesis starts in the spring. So we had to go up there before the snow melted and before like the thawing of the ecosystem happen to capture the spring transition. But you can't get to the site without literally cross-country skiing to it. So we were just there to do these repairs. So it was like a tool bag, basically. It was the only thing we needed to bring out into the field. This was with like one of my closest collaborators. I think that I probably traveled with this person like more than my advisor or my other collaborators, because we were on multiple projects together and just like got along really well and had this like great dynamic for getting things done in the field that worked super, super effectively. But then it was great because we had a lot of like downtime.
Yeah, I love when you have a field partner where you just gel and you just get things done so quickly, so effectively. You're like firing on all cylinders. You're like, this is how it is supposed to be. Yeah. Oh, I'm so happy you had that experience. How long was that trip in total? How many days did it take for you to ski out there, fix it, and then ski back out?
Like 3.
Oh.
Fast. Yeah. My field work has always been like, the longest that we'll stay in a place is like a week. So pretty quick, and it's just like going, setting up the instrument, or doing these small fixes, which is also why I've been able to build in these kind of like weekend trips either before or after, because the actual field work that I'm doing, like the calibrations, don't actually take all that much time.
When you are doing the calibrations, how does that even work?
Yeah.
Because you can't escape light. I mean, yeah, so walk us through that.
Yeah. The main thing that needs to get recalibrated on these instruments is basically how bright is everything. And so what we do is we point the instrument at this like super bright white reflective target, and then at the sun, and then back at the target, and then back at the sun.
Is it Spectralon?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. Are you doing Spectralon stuff?
I mean, I know some things about some things.
Okay.
No, I took a remote sensing class.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and so
amazing.
I learned that word.
We love a Spectralon panel. It's perfect.
Yeah.
Effectively, the setup for that is like one person will be sitting up on the tower, making sure the instrument's doing what it's supposed to, and taking measurements of the sun with an already calibrated instrument. And then the other person is like sitting in the shed, controlling the instrument, like driving the ship and being like, okay, look at the sun, look at the panel, look at the sun, look at the panel. And yeah, not that complicated, but
Thank God,
but can't be done without someone literally there staring at it and making sure it's happening.
So when you were going through your undergrad degree in physics, did you ever think that you would be using all these cool properties of light to do badass science stuff?
Absolutely not.
No.
No. The whole like reason that I got into remote sensing in general, I was a physics major, and I kind of was like, maybe I'll do something sort of environmental. And then my junior year, I was like applying for different like internships to do over the summer, and I applied to one single one. I got one application in, and then I got a horrendous concussion that like put me out of commission for months.
How did you get concussed?
I was on my college swim team, and when you're swimming, normally you will, if you're in a lane with other people, you swim in a circle pattern, so like down one side, back on the other. But if there's just two of you sharing a lane, you'll split the lane, and so you just stay on your own side. And I was doing that with a friend, and we were doing like a sprinting set, and she forgot that we were splitting the lane, and so she came onto my side, but because we were both sprinting, we didn't see each other, and so we like smacked our heads together, bang on. So I didn't submit any other applications for any other programs. I just got the one in, and it was in solar and space physics, and I got it. Thank the heavens. And so I was kind of introduced to like, okay, we can use light to get meaningful information out of something through this solar physics program, and like how to analyze spectra to get meaningful information out of it.
So what you're telling me is that as a remote sensing scientist, you make meaning out of light.
That is exactly right. Yeah.
Incredible.
Yeah.
At your core, you find meaning through light.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, light's like incredible. It can tell us so much.
Wow, I'm obsessed with this idea. So when you did this specific work in the boreal forests outside of Fairbanks, Alaska, what is the exact question that you're trying to answer? Why are you there?
Yeah. So for that specifically, we were trying to decide, okay, we know that plants emit this small amount of light when they're doing photosynthesis, but what is actually the connection between the amount of light that is emitted and what we can measure from space and how much carbon is being taken up by the ecosystem? And so drawing that like mechanistic link between this is what's observed and this is what's actually going on in the forest was the piece that I was working on.
Wow, and what do you mind sharing in layman's terms? Like, I am a kindergartner in your field.
Yeah.
Do you mind sharing what your findings were?
For most situations, if you measure this light, you can say that that's about the amount of carbon that's being taken up.
Wow, and is this something that we had known before about these systems, or was this a novel new finding?
Kind of both. I think it built on the back of a lot of like super relevant work. But I mean, I got like 5 first author papers out of my PhD work, and a lot of that included.
My girl, oh my God, that's like 2.5 PhDs.
It was crazy.
That's
I mean,
lot.
they didn't all come out during my PhD. I wrapped things up after I wrapped up my PhD because there was still more that I could scrap together from that.
I bet you annoyed so many people in your lab group. They were like, oh, she published again. Cool, Zoe, so happy for you.
Well, interestingly,
That's awesome.
my PhD lab group was mostly an atmospheric chemistry group. Because you can use the same techniques that we were using to measure the small light signal coming from plants to understand like trace gases or pollutants in the atmosphere. And so most of the group was focused on like air pollution and atmospheric chemistry. So it's kind of like an odd duck in my group.
Wow, you made them all jealous too. You just kept cranking these out. You're like, oh, my hands are so tired from writing so many first author pubs. Damn, I have like carpal tunnel because I'm so prolific. That's crazy.
I'm just high anxiety and was like, I need a job.
Yeah, it certainly worked out well for you.
I think so.
Wow. Okay, so are there any other boreal forests that you think are understudied that you need to go to with your crop of students that you're now going to be mentoring?
So I am definitely, I think, taking a hiatus on Arctic boreal work. So I mentioned that a lot of this was funded from like this big NASA campaign. There's going to be another one. So this happens every like 10 or so years. They'll invest money in a different type of ecosystem. And so the next one is either going to be drylands, so like California is a dryland ecosystem, so is South Africa, Chile, or tropics, so like the Amazon, the Congo Basin, and potentially both of those will get some amount of funding, and a lot of that depends on like what the government decides at this point in time. But I personally am really interested in doing some tropical work because I think that the framework that I use to understand boreal ecosystems would translate really, really well to tropical ecosystems. And especially since I've like expanded on that now with the work that I've done during my my postdoc, I'm really excited to hopefully get really more involved with this tropical program.
Wow, and I can think of a lot of fringe benefits to going to the tropics.
Yeah, absolutely. I had the opportunity to go to Manaus, Brazil this past year to go for a science conference, the International Carbon Dioxide Conference.
International Carbon Dioxide Conference?
Yeah.
How lit is that?
Awesome. It was so
Yeah?
cool. And especially to have it in Manaus, which is like in the middle of the Amazon rainforest. So you're like,
what?
Yeah.
How big is this? And what do you wear?
Just like normal, it's like science conference. So science conference clothes.
So there's a full like conference center. I've never been. Like, I don't know anything about this.
Yeah.
Whoa.
I mean, it was at like a hotel. So it was a small conference for kind of like just like carbon cycle science people. Yeah.
Whoa. Okay. So admittedly, it's kind of late in the game to be asking this question, but do you mind giving us like a 3-minute primer on the carbon cycle?
Yeah.
Or longer? Take however long you want.
Oh my God. Okay, carbon cycle.
We should have started with this.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. That makes sense for sure. So, where do I even start? Living things are made of carbon. It is essential for life on Earth. And the carbon cycle tells us how carbon is moving through the Earth system. And so when people talk about climate change and greenhouse gases, carbon dioxide is one that humans are emitting a lot of, and it's causing our Earth to warm. And the carbon cycle describes how much of that carbon is being emitted by human sources or other sources, so like volcanic activity, and then how much is being taken up by the ocean and plants on land and turned into plant material or dissolved carbon in the ocean. And then at some point, the plant material will fossilize and turn back into oil and gas, which then gets extracted again as people are using fossil fuels. And so that entire cycle is what we typically refer to as the carbon cycle. And I think soil scientists will probably be upset with me if I don't talk about the process of plant material turning into soil and soil carbon and respiration within the soils.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. I also love the connection between carbon from your universe and then carbon into like the geology universe.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, that's really, really interesting. And something that always blows my mind is the fact that sea creatures make their shells out of calcium carbonate that's been dissolved in the ocean. That blows my freaking mind. And I always felt really, really interested, but also a little bit guilty, because sometimes in geology labs, like in undergrad, you have to use hydrochloric acid, and in order to test for the presence of calcium carbonate, we would always be like, we're dropping acid in lab today. Yeah. Yeah. It's like, oh, today I dropped acid in class with my professor. Sick. So sick. But we would just do like a little drop, and then it would violently effervesce because it breaks those, chemical bonds down. And so I always felt really bad, because it's like, oh, this beautiful sea creature worked like its whole life to build this shell, and I'm just like drip, drip, drip so long. Yeah. But it was so fun and so cool to be able to definitively like test for the presence of that mineral. And so that's actually one of the like quickest and easiest ways to test the difference between marble or quartzite. Dolomite, excuse me. Well, and dolomite too. Yeah. So, fun fact.
Wild.
Yeah. The more you know. Anyway, back to you though.
That's amazing. One of my like friends from UCLA, their like whole PhD work was on like the process of how things make their shells and what we can like use, how we can use that to understand like paleoclimate and like carbon in the water in paleo times.
Way back yonder.
Way back yonder. Way back in the day.
Way back machine.
Yeah. Not my field of study, but they're like the person I think of immediately when I'm like, oh, shells, calcium carbonate.
Yeah, I love hearing about all of your field experiences. I think not every scientist, but like a lot of scientists that go out into the field have these like funny little quirky things that happen, and like you have this beautiful, well thought out plan by your advisor, and then of course like something always goes wrong. Like you're at the top of this giant ladder in this like Alaskan forest, and all of a sudden you drop your bag of zip ties, which are crucial to the longevity of your experimentation, right? Like you need every everything to stay in place and stay oriented. So are there any other little like mishaps that turned out for the better, like in field stories that you can think of?
Oh my gosh. Turned out for the better, I'm not so sure. I think the the most stressful field experience, we were like doing this whole setup, and part of this involves like running a fiber optic cable up to the top of the tower so like the instrument can work, and like the fiber optic cable lets the light go through, and then it can make it all the way to the sensitive instruments. And the cable itself is pretty expensive because it's made of glass on the inside.
Is it pretty fragile too?
Yeah. So you like really got to have it locked in. And so I'm with my friend in the field, and we're like passing the cable from the top of the tower down and like leapfrogging on these ladders. And I'm like holding it out over, and he's walking down, and all of a sudden I see these wasps like starting to fly around, and I'm like, oh god. And I'm like, it's gonna sting me. And I'm like holding this cable, and it like lands on my hand. I'm like, I'm about to get stung, and I have simply no choice because I cannot drop this off of this tower. And I did, and it was terrible. It was a terrible experience. But I made it, and I didn't drop the cable.
Wow.
Yeah.
Good for you.
But then I had like a baseball glove hand afterwards.
No.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. I'm kind of entranced that you were able to keep your composure at a time like that. Many people would have just been like, F this cable. Sorry, guys.
This is done. Yeah.
This is done.
Well, I couldn't like move my hand or like, because I'm like hanging out off of the side of this tower, and I couldn't, it's like too big to like bring it in or move my hand in any kind of meaningful way. It was just, this is just how it's going to be.
So what's your dream field site?
I've always kind of had this like desire to do more like local research. And so being able to do more work in California, I'm really excited about. And then I do really want to do some work in the tropics, especially with the potential of this big tropical field campaign coming up. Exact location though, I'm flexible. Brazil was really awesome, and the food was so good. So that's kind of high on my list, I think.
Wow. I also, just a suggestion, take it or leave it. I think your lab group needs matching shirts, like tropical themed field work shirts.
Yeah.
Just so you know, like, who's who out there.
Yeah.
So everyone knows, like, they're with you.
I've been playing around with, like, lab group ideas, like what to name my lab.
Wait.
Taking suggestions. I was thinking of the Pi Lab, photons in the environment, and like the first 3 letters of my last name. Could be cute.
The Pi Lab.
Not totally sold on it, but like throwing ideas out there.
Wow. Okay. If there's any listeners out there who have ideas for Dr. Zoe and what she should name her new lab group, let us know in the comments.
Yeah, absolutely. I would love that. Remote sensing, carbon, water cycling, ecosystem health. Those are the things.
Yeah. Amazing.
Yeah.
Okay, so now it's time for a recurring segment called Hot Take. Weird Truth, Smart Move.
Yeah.
What is a hot take that you have on anything that we have covered today in this episode?
Whoa. Okay. What is yours?
Can it be, okay, I'll ask you, are you okay if it's with something that has nothing to do with this episode?
Well, mine had nothing to do with this episode.
Okay, we can do totally unrelated. What's like a general hot take you have about life?
Well, now I want to know what your general hot take was.
Okay, I'll go first. I think everybody should do DMT.
Yeah.
I genuinely think that it would like change the way people move through the world, and I've had several DMT experiences, and I feel like the woman who walked into that experience was not the woman who came out the other side for the better.
Yeah.
And I experienced a very profound connection to the universe, or like just such a greater purpose other than myself. and had incredible experiences that I think people would move through the world a lot differently. And just it kind of helps reframe the way that I think about my life and how I show up in my life and my community, and what I really value in my life as well. Yeah, so I'm a huge like proponent for psychedelic medicine in general, but DMT was especially potent, and I really feel like it should be mandatory to, at the age of 30, every person should have a DMT experience.
That's crazy.
That's my hot take. I'm sticking to it.
Damn.
Yeah.
August 29th, big 3-0 coming up.
For you?
Yeah.
Damn, dirty 30. What you gonna do?
I was thinking about having like a big camp out, like a big like camp games, like renting a big group campsite and like having people roll through when they can and running around. Ideally, my vision's a beach campsite, but I didn't plan this early enough, so a lot of them are booked, but keeping my fingers crossed.
They're already booked out this many months in advance?
Yeah. The one that I want is, but the one that I want's like quite nice.
Okay.
Yeah. I've also been throwing around the idea of biking down the coast of Italy.
Oh.
Which is a little bit more of a time investment. We'll see.
But you only turned 30 one time.
I know, but last year was my golden birthday, and I went really hard for that. Like, I backpacked through the Alps with like a bunch of friends, and that I feel like was I did a big golden birthday 29 on the 29th situation.
Can I please be put on your newsletter list for when you blast out like who wants to come with me to this
my God, yeah.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I will happily join you.
Fuck yeah.
Biking through the Alps on my like little, Mongoose Walmart bike.
Yeah, perfect. That's great. Let's do it.
I'll splash out and rent whatever type of bike I need for this.
Fuck yeah.
Oh my God. Okay, what's your hot take though?
Okay, my hot take is that people who are like the like dogs versus cat debates. People who are like cat haters are like incapable of having a human animal connection unless it's spoon fed to them.
Where did you think of this hot take, or what spurred this idea?
I just feel like cats are unnecessarily villainized. And they're lovely animals. Like, I have 2 cats. I mean, I'm biased because I have cats. But I didn't have cats growing up. And they're, like, incredible pets. They're, like, so easy to take care of. They're so loving. You just gotta, like, get to know them a little bit.
So you're saying if somebody is a cat hater, they just are not down to, like, have a deeper connection with...
Yeah. Like, to have a deeper connection with an animal. You gotta, like, get to know them.
Yeah, that's true. Dogs are overwhelmingly pretty easy to get along with because they're such people pleasers, but cats are not people pleasers.
No.
Girl, that's a really good hot take.
Thank you.
Whoa, thank you for that. I should be thanking you.
But this is like a great kind of test for like dating too, is like how well do people get along with my cats? Like, what is their response to the cats?
Are your cats more dog-like or cat-like?
I have 2. One of them, yes. So Jack and Brie. Jack is the boy, and he's like does behave like a dog. Like, he is high drama, high personality, but like very social and like ready to come up and say hi to everyone. Brie is like a mystery, but like once you crack her shell, she's like the most loving little angel baby.
Yeah, so that would be a really good relationship test. You bring someone else over and they don't vibe with Brie on the first try. Do they write her off, or do they stick with it and become invested and go deeper and give it time? Okay, I'm picking up what you're laying down. Ooh, that's a great hot take.
Yeah.
Okay, now it's time for weird truth.
Yeah.
What is something that people would be really surprised to know, either about the work that you do or things about trees or things about photosynthesis or chlorophyll or evapotranspiration, like blow our minds with something that we would never ordinarily believe?
Yeah. I mean, I still think this is the coolest one, and I know that I've said it before, but like the fact that plants emit red light that like you literally can see with your own eyes is crazy. And the reason that we don't see it is because there's so much other light going on. But if you go on the internet and you're like spinach glowing red experiment, You can get a little at-home experiment. You can do it yourself. You blend up spinach. You can make it fluoresce. And it's freaking awesome. It works. It's effective.
What?
Yeah.
I didn't know this.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna do this.
This was a good one then. You didn't know, and it's great. It's so cool. Yeah, it's visible.
You don't actually need one of your $50,000 instruments to be able to see this red light emitting from the spinach that we can buy at the grocery.
Mm-hmm. The reason you need the fancy instrument is because you want to measure, like this experiment, you're like blending up spinach leaves, and like you could do it with like a house plant or something, but we're measuring plants like outside in sunlight in their natural environment. So the at-home experiment, you put it in a dark room and control the light that it's receiving.
This is insane. This is such a weird truth.
Yeah.
This is so weird. Is it actually true?
Yeah,
I know.
It sure
is. That's really cool. I'm definitely going to do this.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Amazing. Okay, and then the final one is smart move. What is a savvy trick that you have implemented either to level up yourself personally or professionally?
Wait, I want to know what your weird truth is.
Ooh, I have a lot of weird truths.
Okay.
One of my favorite weird truths, so I'm a space scientist, specifically a space geologist, and lately I've been really, really focused on lunar science and lunar geology and the lunar surface environment. And something that people are generally really surprised to find out is that there are places on the moon that are colder than the average surface temperature of Pluto.
That's a really good one.
Yeah. And the reason why they're so...
How is that possible? Yeah.
I'm so glad you asked.
Yeah.
Here I go. Okay. Basically, like, there are craters that are so deep and in a certain location on the moon that they never receive any sunlight under any circumstances. They are in permanently shadowed status. And so there's no atmosphere on the moon to basically harbor heat or trap sunlight or like solar heat into that system. And so it's full of what we believe to be water ice, and like it's just a very cold trap. And so we've actually measured this with remote sensing instruments. The Diviner instrument is a radiometer thermometry experiment that's been operating for like over 15 years now, and it's been orbiting the moon. And so our dear friend Alicia Jody is actually on that science team, she can speak way more eloquently about this topic. But her science group is actually the group that has definitively like discovered that the coldest temperature is, the coldest temperatures in these permanently shadowed regions are colder than the average surface temperature of Pluto. Yeah, so that's our girl who's like out here doing that.
I love her.
Yeah, I love her too. She'd be a great guest on the show, actually.
She really would.
Yeah.
Wow.
Okay, so what's your smart move?
Okay, my smart move, sorry, we got distracted. Can I get a little rebrief on what the smart move was again?
Totally. Okay, so something like a life hack that has either leveled you up professionally or personally.
Honestly, I do think that it's like pretending like I'm a mediocre white man. Like, just getting out of the imposter syndrome is, like, the best thing that I can possibly do to, like, I don't know. If you just, like, go into a situation and, like, project self-confidence, it's, like, game over.
Like, there is a man out there named Greg who is half as talented as I am, who has twice as much confidence as me.
Yes.
Doing the same thing I'm trying to do.
And you probably met him.
I've
probably met this man. Right. And so just, like, think about that and think about how your qualifications and, like, the things you've accomplished. And, yeah.
Hey, that's a smart move.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right on.
Okay, I'm gonna add another smart move.
Yeah.
Is like I don't know if like karma is the right word, but like I do think all of the good that you put out into the world in your like career at some point is like gonna come back around to you. And so I always try and do that as much as I can, and I do feel like that it has come back to me in spades. Yeah.
I believe in that too.
Yeah.
That is the thing. Like, you definitely get back what you put out there.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Oh. Well, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me.
It's been an absolute delight to have you, Zoe.
Yay! Wow!
Thanks for coming on.
Yay! Thank you for having me.
Hotter, weirder, smarter. Hotter, hotter, weirder, smarter, smarter. Hotter, weirder, smarter. Hotter, hotter, weirder, smarter.